So this is what really worries me, and I'm not an economist. I'm thinking about, again, these are my thoughts and what my mother used to think. My mother used to work here, and she used to work at sewing something, and she always wanted to work at Levi's, because they had like, our neighbor worked at Levi's, and she had great benefits, and actually they did, because she lives really well now after Levi's left, and but she worked there, and she made a living doing that. And I remember, this is 15 years ago. If you dropped out of high school in El Paso, or even graduated high school, didn't went to college, what was going to happen to you? Or you were probably going to work at Levi's or Fara or some of these companies, and you were going to produce something, a piece of clothing or something. You were going to have a sort of decent salary, maybe a salary comparable, I don't think so, to the one we have today in terms of purchasing power. And you were going to have benefits and all this stuff. What happens today if you drop out in El Paso? Most likely you're going to end up working at Walmart. Number one employer in El Paso. Walmart. Number one employer in the US. 2 million employees. 2 million. Number two, IBM, 400K. So 4 times more than the second, Walmart. In the top 10, Kroger, which is another Walmart, Sears, Target, McDonald's. Top 10 employers. So when we used to produce stuff that either we bought, that we made, now, and we sell to other countries, now the only thing we produce is service. We sell to each other. That's the only thing we produce, or the main thing we produce. And the stuff we're selling, we didn't produce it ourselves. It came from China or Asia or somewhere. So we're not even selling to us the stuff we produce. And the worst thing is, because it's not from here, and the shipping and the cost and the patent, we really don't afford it either. Meaning, if you work at Walmart and you buy your F-150, you probably cannot afford it. You still buy it though, and the bank still gives you money to buy it. But where does that money come from? It doesn't come from here either. We also import money, because we need money to lend to all these people that are buying stuff that cannot afford. And we don't even have that money ourselves. So we borrow it from whom? From the people that sell us the stuff. So we are in an economy which is consumer spending based. If we stop spending, the machine breaks. And the only way to keep on spending is to keep on lending us money, which we don't have. Borrowing money that we don't have. So that's very scary. Now, we must be producing something. Well, yeah, we are. Ideas. Apple, number one company in terms of revenue last year. Number one in revenue. They produced $33 billion in revenue last year. Walmart is number 7. They produce 17. So they produce half of the revenue that Apple produced. Apple hires or employs 50,000 people. 50,000 people compared to 2 million people that Walmart produces. That's 2.5%. With 2.5% of employees, they produce twice as much. iPhones are not made in the US, but at least the idea is from here. So some patent money, some copyrights, that money stays here. Now, what's the sad part about those 50,000 employees? They're immigrants from Asia, India, China, Taiwan. Because the US graduates, they don't make the cut. We're not prepared to work in Silicon Valley, most of us. Bill Gates emphasizes this over and over, meaning works at Silicon Valley, there are enough for, well, there are many of them, but there's no Americans to fill them. This is concerning. This should be very concerning, because what should we expect from this machine? Meaning, what do we think it's going to happen? How are we going to correct this ship? That's an important question. So can we go to the next slide? So, okay, so let's start with what would we then? Well, we sort of understand what the problem is. part of the problem. We have this sustainability challenge. We have technology and policy challenges that could help with climate change and other problems. And we obviously have this economy that it's not grounded or anything solid. And we need to put it back somewhere there. Now, can we go back to producing Levi jeans? No, that's over. That ship has sailed. Right today, if your work is systematic, be afraid, because it's either going to be automated or outsourced. That's meaning we're not going to compete with China or even Mexico in terms of salaries. I mean, so if it can be done cheaply, it's going to be done elsewhere. So we're not going to become, at least not in the near future, a blue-collar country. We cannot go back, because that means competing with all these other countries, and I don't see that happening in the near future. So going back blue-collar, not an option. So the only thing we cannot go back. So our other option is go forward. We have to move forward. And what's forward? Silicon Valley is forward. Meaning, what are we doing right? That, shipping ideas, our innovation, our creating solutions. Meaning, the light of hope of this nation, it's on those few in the Northwest. We should become a whole silicon nation. Meaning we should be producing ideas that solve the sustainability problems of the world. Meaning we should be creating energy efficient appliances that work and last. We should be promoting alternative energy. We should be developing the systems to manage that energy system. And we have that capacity. We need policy to push it, and we need technology to be developed. This year, the El Paso Independent School District is going to spend $7,200 per child in El Paso School District this year. That's an $800 a month tuition. I think the best school, private school, or at least the most expensive one, it's Radford, and I think they're at, I don't know, 700. So actually going to a public school, going to Zavala, is more expensive than going to Radford. More expensive. The average teacher's salary is $40,000 a year. If that teacher has a 25 pupil classroom, that's $180,000 per classroom in El Paso. And only $40,000 go to the teacher. I mean, actually we could put a UTEP engineering professor as a kindergarten professor for that amount that it's already allocated. And I'm pretty sure that if we paid what we could, there would be a whole bunch of PhDs that would love to go and teach those kids. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people with the passion to do it. It just pays horribly. And it pays horribly not because we don't have the money, not even because we're not investing it, we're just not using it properly, which is sad. In Texas, this actually 2-3 years ago, we spent $18,000 a year per inmate. $18,000. That's twice that what we spend on our kids' education, which is already a lot. So instead of, oh, by the way, to add a bed to a prison, $60,000 per bed. So if crime rates go up, we need more beds, we need more prisons, $60,000 per bed to increase our capacity, which we do. And you know how we do that? You know how we plan prisons? We look at 4th grade graduation rates. So, Hispanics. This is the census 2010 by age. So we start at 5 years old, the first set of bars, and we go to 65. And this is Anglo versus non-Anglo, which includes Hispanics, African Americans, Asians, Native Americans. Everybody not Anglo. Today, 5-year-olds, we're almost half and half. So 5-year-olds, meaning they're this close to literally not being minority anymore. Meaning, if you segregate them by race or ethnicity, we're still minorities, but we're approaching really fast not being one. Actually, Anglos are approaching being minorities. And you see this big lump over there with the elderly right now. And this is important. This is an important thing to notice. This population over 65, most of it is Anglo. And this is a good thing. I mean, I actually like this, and this is strange. But that group of people votes. They write to their congressmen. They're on top of them. I mean, they contribute to their senators and wherever. But the civic engagement of this group of people, even locally, I admire so much. I mean, they're so into politics, and they're so aware that everything that happens around them, they're part of it. They're co-responsible, and they act that way. Can we go to the next graph? This is 2050. This is 40 years from now. They're gone. They're not here. That population calling their senators and their representatives and keeping an eye on policy and government, they're gone. And we're left. And we don't care. This is not good. By 2023, non-Anglos are kids, children below 18. By 2023, this is 10 years from now, we're already half and half. 2042, all ages, half and half. 1/3 of those non-Anglo are Hispanics. So by 2050, we'll be exactly the same number as Anglos, Hispanics and Anglos. And again, we replace them, and we're young. And we not only probably dropped out of high school, and even if we stayed in a crappy high school. And all of them are crappy, and we have even the crappiest ones. Okay, but this is not a national problem. This is a regional problem. Meaning this is the Southwest and mainly Texas, and you're basically talking about El Paso, right? This is Census 2010. This is where Hispanics are right now. So yeah, meaning basically we are it, right? We're the epicenter of this. So right there, we're there. So, but let's look at how Hispanic population changed between 2000 and 2010. Can you go to the next map? Now the dark places are where Hispanic population grew. Everywhere except where we were. We're spreading. Everywhere. Everywhere. I was amazed because if you group the South, and I'm amazed because I don't want to go over there, but I'm amazed how many of us have decided to go to Alabama and Mississippi. I mean, it's just, it's just dark, So it's evident, meaning we're definitely right now populating the Southwest, but soon enough, all of those that have moved, and we have moved, we're going to complete that map. It's going to be blue all over.